have contacts on who I may sidelined me as well. So my question is there is there like a template of negotiating those terms? Let's say they want me to sell those concepts, or it's just a process of negotiation?
There is no template. And again, so you use the phrase that all creatives use as a creative, and then you go ahead to list your shortcomings. And honestly, nobody can do it for you. So it's up to you to go out and get those contacts. Like for me, I started out as purely a creative as well. I used to write concepts, and I used to write scripts. But then I realized nobody wants to buy scripts or concepts. They want to buy finished TV shows. So then I learned how to produce the TV shows myself, and then grew over time. So nobody owes you the contacts. So you have to go get the contacts yourself. You're the one. It's a bit harsh, but that as a creative, nobody cares. They want a complete TV show.
And so I think I'm just going to add to what Eugenia said. I'm a writer, like predominantly a writer. And writers particularly, we have this thing of living in a little bubble where you don't know anyone else, you don't care about anyone else. I'm so brilliant, someone will come and find me. It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. You're in an industry which is very vibrant. There's so many people. You can walk in anywhere and ask. Kenya Film Commission, Mnet's Talent Factory, ADMI. I mean, there's so many places you can just walk into and ask them, I need contacts of producers. Do you know any producers I could work with? Go online. We are an online nation right now. Go on Facebook, Kenyan producers. So much will come up. It's just about doing your homework. And once it comes up, walk into that office, ask them, can I write something for you for free? You know, like if you're starting out, there's so much legwork you'll have to do before you can walk into a TV station with a script and ask them to produce it for you. So do your homework and just be aware. Be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. And even forums like this, it's a good thing as a writer who's looking to partner with producers, it's where you find them.
Exactly.
I had wanted to ask a question on how different it is for a writer to pitch to a producer, but you've answered my question. A follow-up question on that is, do you feel like you've lost your creativity? You started off as a writer and now you're a producer, and from there you're talking, you're now a business person. Do you still... Yeah, so I'm wondering, when you started off, maybe like us, you looked at your TV and you're like, these stories I'm watching, I'd rather go to something different. Is that disconnect? Are you trying to go back to I think I've lost my train of thought. But
no, I understood your question.
Okay.
And the reason I understood it is because it's entirely true. I started out as a creative. I don't consider myself a creative anymore. I'm a businessman now. Actually, I do say to people, I'm not in the TV industry. I'm in the TV business. Now, the unfortunate thing about life is you can't have your cake and eat it. You can try, but usually one will take over. So I spend most of my days now in an office doing paperwork and signing checks sometimes. Although I should just have said signing checks. It sounds more sexy. But I spend a lot of my time now in an office doing paperwork. Vis-a-vis when I started out, I was creating. I do get a chance to create every now and then, but now I have a team of creatives. So, and the business side has taken over by default. Which is, I don't know if it's better or worse, but I'm not trying to go back. I'm happy with the business one.
So for those of us who do not want to become business people, we completely want to change the landscape of what is showing. And as a privy to what was there before, they were really bashing what is being produced, but we really want to see more of Kenyan stuff, whether it's good, whether it's bad. We just want to see Kenyan stuff. It's sad that I grew up in the 90s and the telenovelas that I watched then are what are still ruling the airwaves today. And I want to see that change. I do not want to be where you are today, where I'm like, okay, they want
Why are you making me look bad?
Sorry, I'm making you look bad, but I hope you're getting
yes, I do.
My argument that as you cross over to the business person, you kind of lose what it is that motivated you to become a TV business person in the first place. There's something that has not yet been solved. I still believe that even as you're on the other side, the content that is there, Sakaja was proposing that 60% of what is showing on TV should be local. But I think TV stations have turned it out to be news. If you spend the whole day watching TV, it is just news. From one talk show to another, they're discussing, I think that's why politics is dominating. They're just not giving space to us creatives to show our content. So how are you supporting, is there something like pro bono in TV? There is in the legal aid, where you're just giving at least 3.
I don't do any pro bono stuff.
No, I'm pitching for myself. I hope you consider
I always say just be the change that you want to see. For example, I've filled up Kenyan TV with content that I want to see, and then I get paid for it. So you can sit out there and say that someone else is not doing this and that, nobody's doing shows about that and that. But the first answer that they'll tell you, nobody is here to help anyone else. TV primarily and media is a business. It's there to make profit or achieve an agenda. So for example, when you talk about what you consider pro bono, there's a messaging being pushed. There's very little in the way of just like to help the youth. No, it's to either push an agenda, to make money. It's a business. However, if you want to have a show maybe about good lighting, only you can make that change, as opposed to, as Mona said, sitting back and hoping that someone will come and discover your great show about lighting. Only you can go out and push it. For example, my first TV show, Young Rich, was because I wanted to be young and rich. So I took the whole country on that trip with me. And so you make the shows that you want to watch, because no one else is going to.
Hi, Eugene. Well, my name is Simba. I have, first and foremost, let me appreciate the presence of Peter Kawa, my director. Pleasure.
Hello, Peter Kawa.
And, okay, you're doing great, man. That is very good. Now, one, it's the point of the budget, yeah? Sorry. Yes, confused me. What I want to ask is, will it be too much of an exaggeration when you start telling the station, like, with this program of mine, these are the sponsors who can be able to come and board, and actually the business aspect of it?
No, it's actually very good. If you can, whoever you're pitching to, if you can show to them what benefit your product will bring, you're more likely to be successful. For example, TV stations everywhere in this country, if you walk in with your content and a sponsor, you're getting a slot immediately. Because you see, you've made their work easier. Because ideally how it works is I sell my TV show to them, then they have to go out and get someone to sponsor the show, and that's how they make their money back. If you walk in already with a sponsor, you've already solved their step 3 and 4. So you're more likely to get a show on air as opposed to me who just walks in with an idea. So no, it's not too much. It's actually, it's good.
So where is the issue of copyright supposed to come in? Should it start at where you're starting with the idea, or after you've already pitched?
So you can't copyright an idea, and a lot of people don't understand that. You can only copyright a work. Sorry. You can only copyright work. You cannot copyright an idea. So only until you first shoot your pilot, that's what you can copyright. Unless you've manifested that idea into audio-visual work, then you cannot copyright it. So then, that's why it's advisable usually if you have an idea, shoot a pilot, copyright it first, then start talking to people.
Okay, asante sana.
Thank you. Hi, Eugene.
Hi.
Asante kwa your presentation. He has reminded me of a question, and this goes to you still, Mona. I went to pitch to a producer, and now he told me I should tune my script in a way it is like attracting some products. So I was torn between changing my work to attract the product. I didn't quite understand well what he was trying to mean, but I find it quite limiting. It is constraining me to change the content into something that is going to attract a product, of which I think it is the content which should be appealing for the corporate to come in. So can you clarify that?
What you were saying in not very clear terms was media, especially in Kenya, is still very advertiser driven. Yeah. So how you don't pay for free-to-air channels, for example, yet you watch my shows for free. Who pays for them? It's the advertiser.
Yeah, of course.
It's the advertiser. Unless you're on a subscription service like DSTV or your Netflix, where then you have a bit more leeway. So what he was trying to say to you, if you're trying to sell a show to a free-to-air platform, you're more likely to be successful if you can be attached to an advertiser. So like a lot of my shows are very easily attachable to advertisers, which is why I have so many of them. So I've been sponsored by CBA, LG, bunch of others that I can't remember right now. But usually always it's because my show can help them sell product. So therefore, the show that's more likely to be attached to an advertiser has a higher chance of being picked up by a TV station than one that isn't.
For example, I don't think it's Lele or something that is attached to inaitwaje kwa maisha magic is wedding. A perfect wedding.
Perfect wedding, yes.
There's a wine that advertises on that show. Yeah.
Lele show.
Did you, like, while you are creating the concept, did you create in a way you attract the wine, or
Yes,
they
so-
just saw the wedding, and because wine is something that is obvious in a wedding, then they came on board?
It's not that obvious. So the way that works is it gets a bit more complex. So you see, wedding shows are a hit with women. With all due respect, it's right.
Of course,
yeah?
that's true.
Yeah. So wedding shows are a hit with women. So anybody who's trying to sell a product targeted at women is more likely to advertise on a show that relates very well to men. Same way, anybody who's targeting products for guys will do very well by advertising on Top Gear, for example, because men are generally more interested in cars than women. So if you create a hit TV show about cars, a lot of men will watch. So somebody who's trying to sell maybe shaving equipment is more likely to advertise on a show targeted at a lot of men. It's the same thing. So our perfect wedding will, first of all, attract a lot of women, primarily, because then you have secondary audience. And then anybody who's trying to sell anything to that huge group of women, it's very easy for them to advertise on that platform.
Just to quickly add something else to what you've said. You should never ever be too precious with your ideas as a writer. Unless you're Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino, you know what I'm saying? Where you can say, whatever, man, I'm taking my idea, I'm going to produce it by myself. Be open. If someone wants you to change it and it makes sense, change that one. Give them, make money, have another idea, do another show. So don't be so precious. Unless you have one passion project that you're keeping for the day you make it big, that's fine. But churn out your ideas. That's the only way you're going to make it. Yeah.
Hi, good morning again. No, well, I could. This one is working? One. No, it's not. No, just, sorry, Eugene, for interrupting. Just a few words to answer to what you said. We are in the world called entertainment. So when you write a story, you have immediately to think, is my story going to entertain the largest audience as possible? So you have to really to project you and find, you know, look the way they work in US. You know, they have sometimes like 10 authors around the table, and the script move from end to end, and they rewrite and they read, and they know that every 3 or 4 minutes there is a kind of pace to be entertained. Something needs to happen in the story. So that's a mechanic. That's a story has to be built and written as a mechanic to really create, the entertain and create, you know, joy or tears, or, you know, look Supermodo. Supermodo is a good example because the whole film is really wonderfully built. It takes you from a nice moment, emotions, and for me that's really among the best Kenyan films that I've seen so far. So yes, when you write, of course, you have to think of first the audience, and the moment you will submit your script or synopsis to a potential partner, mainly a broadcasting house at the beginning, that's one day it will have to work this way. This is the way we work in France. I just discussed with Katie and people, explaining them that, yeah, they should open the door in big to private producers, private scriptwriters, and work with them, because they are the one to feed a broadcasting house by bringing permanently new ideas of film, of documentary, of feature, etc. So the moment you introduce the project to them, you have to already convince them, okay, yeah, this story is targeting this this certain category of people, age between this and that. All that, you have it. You have been written the story, and you know who you are targeting. And by doing that, the broadcasting house will know that, yes, you are professional, you know exactly who you are targeting, and you will have chosen your broadcaster as the one that definitely meet with the story you have written. So that's, yeah. So you have to, consider all those elements, and as you said, write and rewrite. This is not the first writing that will become a story. No, it takes time. It takes time. And you can go to residency where you leave your place, you go to a special place for 2 months. You will be nursed by people to really that will be professional to help you to construct the whole story. And that's the main scriptwriters are top stars today, because this is a talent, and this talent has to be grown and to be developed. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, I wanted to ask, is there like a standard time for docuseries for TV, or a budget, and a budget?
No, but there's no standard time for any genre. However, the thing I was saying earlier about understanding how businesses work. So, for example, almost all big media houses will have financial years. Yeah. So a lot of times, you're coming to pitch in September. Their financial year started in March, which means they've already budgeted for what was supposed to be budgeted for all productions for that year. So it doesn't matter what you have; they don't have the budgets for it. So it's very important for, as a producer or someone who's trying to sell ideas, to understand the basic business principles of how different organizations operate. So, for example, if they're making their budgets in February, that's probably the best time to pitch, because it means if you come later on in the month in June, they've already allocated their finances to other things, and it's very difficult for them to sneak you in. Because you have to remember, big production houses are businesses. They have budgets that they stick to. They have annual plans. So ideally, you should get in before they've set their plans. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. But they don't have particular quarters for docu-series or anything of that sort. They will tell you. And some production